So we continue our conversation here, and this time we are talking about 17 Global Goals Model United Nations Conference. Joining us on set, we have Kyle Lee, will be joining us rather in a short while. We have Mr. Enrique Cache. He's the representative for Decent Work and Economic Growth. We also have Chanel Felix, representative for Quality Education. Welcome.
Good morning, Buna.
First of all, what is the 17 Global Goals Model United Nations Conference all about?
Well, basically, it's an international conference held by the United Nations that allows youths from all over the world to come together and basically debate different policy solutions on different global issues. So we have the 17 global goals, including no poverty, quality education, decent work and economic growth, and the list goes on and on. So we have youths representing each goal, and we have the ability to formulate solutions and basically debate our topics against youths from all over the world.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Mr. Enrique Cache, you are the representative for Decent Work and Economic Growth.
Yes, yes.
Could you provide us with some information on that?
Well, firstly, I would like to separate the two in terms of the economic growth will be a sustainable long-term development in Trinidad and Tobago, and the decent work would be securing and safeguarding the environment for laborers who work in the industries in Trinidad and Tobago. But it comes down to the employment in the workplace, where students from UWI and other organizations are being like sidelined for jobs and whatnot. So my goal is to align OJT with the public sector and GATE to find jobs for students who graduate from the University of the West Indies by allocating statistics and having updated measures to reach these percentages in the classes to allocate jobs for them and finish the thing. And also in terms of economic development and growth is diversification in the economy.
Now, diversification, as you know, it's easier said than done. What is your strategy?
Well, is alongside working with the government and private stakeholders and public stakeholders in properly allocating resources efficiently in Trinidad and Tobago by evaluating and monitoring things that are working and is not working. And the things that are working, we should invest in it, like youths per se. We are the solution, we are the future. So we should invest in youths, and we have a voice to say too.
Very, very good answer there. You also spoke about getting jobs. Now, we know the situation with unemployment, and we know there are a lot of educated people with master's degrees and even further, and they're not really working for a lot of money, or some of them are not even employed. How do you begin to address something like this?
Well, firstly, that's why I say in terms of streamlining students according to their degree to provide jobs for them. So, for example, if the government monitor the degrees that we're doing in the country and elsewhere, and link up with OJT and other private and public stakeholders to provide jobs for them to be streamlined into, and training and workshops.
You talk about economic growth, quality education. What are some of the other areas of focus?
Some of the other areas are like gender equality, life on land, life underwater. So we deal with a lot of biodiversity and stuff like that. But piggybacking on what Enrique was saying, another thing that I think the government and schools need to focus on is encouraging youths to be entrepreneurs rather than depending on the system. We have to now encourage these students to utilize the power that is given education. You understand? To create that diversity within the economy instead of depending on structures that already exist that we see aren't working.
Okay, great. And when and where exactly would this conference be held?
Well, the conference is from the 13th to the 16th of April, and it's going to be in Malaysia.
Great. And how many individuals from Trinidad and Tobago were selected to participate in this conference?
3 individuals, myself, Enrique, and Kyle.
And what will you be speaking about?
Well, I'll be speaking on quality education and how we can help to improve that in Trinidad and Tobago. For a very long time, I've been saying that when we talk about quality education in Trinidad and Tobago, we tend to neglect the special needs children. And that is something that we need to look at. what I was suggesting and what I put into my policy paper was that there must be a program for education where we allow teachers to actually be able to formulate a curriculum that directly targets students of these special needs. You understand? So what we are trying to do is include sign language as a core course in the TESOL program. That's one of the biggest things that we're trying to do. In addition to that, improving technology in the schools is a great deal in improving quality education in Trinidad and Tobago, because we see that we gave kids laptops, but the school was not prepared to adequately deal with this level of technology. So how could we give students laptops and then the schools don't have Wi-Fi, or we don't have teachers equipped to teach technologically advanced education? You understand? So one of the things we were looking into is that at the university, we have software programs that we have to send our schoolwork. This is something that could be implemented at the high school level.
Okay.
So this is something that we continue to look into, and these are the suggestions that we make. But one of the things that we continue to say is that by us doing our work, we are helping the government in terms of making their job a lot easier. If they invest in us, we then are able to sprinkle the seeds and help students from all over Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, so we'd like to welcome into the conversation Kyle Lee, Executive Marketing Officer. How are you doing this morning? What would be your role in all of this?
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me. My role at the International Youth Model United Nations Conference is to basically go and discuss issues concerning poverty and poverty eradication through enhancing the social programs that currently exist in Trinidad and Tobago and in developing countries, and basically discussing the fundamental role in which education plays in eradicating poverty in Trinidad and Tobago and in developing countries around the world.
So your focus in terms of eradicating poverty would be through social programs?
Yes. So enhancing existing social programs, for example, the Targeted Control Cash Transfer Program, which is basically a short-term program which the government has implemented to provide short-term monetary finances to people who are in impoverished conditions. So they'll be able to have the money and resources to obtain their basic necessities such as water, food, clothing, shelter. And also the Adult Education Program, which provides opportunities for young adults or high school dropouts to obtain some level of education so that they be able to contribute meaningful to society and not be isolated and left out.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you added that there, because I know a lot of people would say, okay, well, we're encouraging the dependency syndrome.
Exactly.
But, okay, I'm glad you did. Okay.